Welcome to another episode of Candid Conversations, hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph. In this episode, we're going to be talking about why is it so hard to transition into the tech industry. So, they told you that if you take this course, if you take this boot camp, then you will be getting a job in whichever field. Maybe it's software engineering, maybe it's QA. And they specifically said, oh, do manual QA first, and then you will get a job within 3 to 6 months doing X, Y, and Z for some huge company. And you go and you spend a bunch of money to do it. And now you are applying, and you're getting so frustrated because nobody, and I repeat, nobody is responding to your resumes. You're getting rejection after rejection after rejection, and you're like, they told me that this was going to be easy, and I saw all the people on YouTube talking about, oh, I can go from 40K to $400,000 doing QA or this and that, and so many different things that they tell you, and then once they lure you in, right? Then what gives? You're applying. You're put like and they tell you that, you have to put in about almost 4,000 applications within a year in order to be eligible for a refund, right? I'm sure there's no one getting a refund, but that's what they tell you, right? And you're just working so hard at it, and you just can't break in. You can't break into the IT industry. And why is that? Well, let's spend some time today to go over what seems to be the problem from at least my perspective, right? So here's the thing with transitioning. When you are going into a company and you're going into a field, right? You have absolutely no experience in it, and you think that you're just going to go in there and get some type of entry level position. Well, here's the thing: a lot of entry level positions, they don't really exist anymore, right? Because these entry level positions, they're kind of like transitionary for college students. So let's say you are graduating and companies start looking to hire college graduates like 6 months in advance before they actually graduate, right? So now that's really where the entry level positions lie. But going into a boot camp at an older age and having the mindset of, oh, I'm just going to go apply for entry level, and because I am in QA, right? I want to focus in a little bit more on QA because I see this all the time. And I'll be scrolling LinkedIn and people are so frustrated because they're like, oh, I'm applying. Why won't anybody give me a chance, right? Well, here's the thing. In the in corporate and tech industry, not many companies are able to afford just giving you a chance because it's a business, right? And we're going to have to make the best decision for our business, for our shareholders, for our customers, right? And I know it sounds a bit unfortunate, but that's life, right? The one question that I always ask myself, and I recommend that you ask yourself as well: if you were the business owner and you were in the position, would you be able to afford taking a chance on someone who, they haven't really proved themselves yet, right? Um, Although I don't think that college is necessarily the end all be all, or it actually prepares you to, I don't think it prepares you at all to get into the work industry, right? But, we're still in the day and age that people value, college degrees and stuff like that. It does give a sense of completion. Like if you can go to, 2 to 4 years of college, get your degree, it shows that like you're able to actually stick to something and complete something, right? So I mean, for me, that's like one of the only, or not only, but one of the main benefits I see from companies requiring a college degree. But I've seen plenty of people without college degrees who are crushing it and killing it, right? So but it's just the reality of the matter, right? But here's a bigger problem. The bigger problem is that you don't have the experience. And I know it's like a circular cycle where it's like, okay, well, how am I supposed to get the experience if a company won't take a chance on me? Right. And then it's like, I okay, you want me to have experience, but no one's giving me a chance to get experience, right? It sucks. I know it sucks, right? And I totally understand what you're saying. But the reason that it's so hard to just take a chance on someone who has just graduated from a boot camp or taken an online course, and trust me, I recommend Udemy to people. I haven't used Coursera myself, but I would recommend Coursera. It's whatever is your best learning flavor. I don't have no problem with that, right? I use Udemy all the time to learn. But here is the problem that I see with a lot of these online learning platforms, a lot of these boot camps, things like that. They prepare you about 25% to learn. I mean, they prepare you about 25% to work, right? They do a pretty, they do an excellent job, right? Teaching you how to do certain aspects of the job. So let's say with testing, right? They'll teach you how to do QA, how to do manual testing. If you do automation testing, they'll teach you how to do automation testing, right? But the problem is that you have a lot of theoretical knowledge and no practical application. That's one problem. There's another problem, right? You have no experience working within a team, right? Another problem is you have no experience working on developing an application, right? From what I've seen, when a lot of people go into these boot camps, they will they will work on an existing, maybe a fake e-commerce website, something to that extent, right? And then all they do is they write some test cases that everyone else has written. They go ahead and they write these test cases. It's not even a real website. There's no sales going on it. There's no bugs. Like there might be like some pre-planted bugs in there, so you can discover something, but there's no actual effect that's happening. So it's not real, right? And I think that is where the part of the problems lie. There's some more that I'll get into, but that's where the problems lie, right? You don't have any practical experience. So now you put a internship on your resume, right? Which just to throw it out there, that resume that you have, it looks exactly like every other person who went to that boot camp has, right? So there's no distinction. You're not unique. They just have it's like a task. Oh, I did this, this, this. It doesn't show any value. What you're going to be bringing to the company, what you're going to be bringing to the table, right? So when the recruiters are going, like the recruiters don't even see your resume, to be honest with you, right? Because they get filtered out like that. So you need to have something that makes you stand out. You need to know how to work with a team, and you don't so now we get into the next problem with the way that of why you can't really transition into the tech industry, because you know you don't have you don't have all the skills, right? You might have the skills to do QA, you might have the skills to do software engineering, but the problem is, okay, do you know how to do the agile methodology, right? Do you know how to use Scrum? Do you know how, like, the different ceremonies that go along with it? Do you know how to be a QA engineer in an agile environment, right? Oh yeah, sure. The boot camps might give you a little. They might show you a little bit about Kanban and how to move things on the board, but how does it work, right? I would say 98.9% of companies are using the agile methodology, right? However, you're not learning that whether you're using a Udemy course. Because for instance, when I took a Python course on Udemy, it didn't talk about anything about agile or anything like that. It just says this is how you do Python, right? 100 days of Python, boom, 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 and you just go through it, and then here are some projects, and that's it, right? Nobody cares about the projects that I'm doing in there. They just to learn Python better, right? So, and it's a great course. Don't get me wrong, it's a great course. However, it does not prepare you to work, right? It just teaches you Python, and that's how these online courses are. That's how these boot camps are. They prepare you to do a particular task, right? So you might learn about the different aspects of QA. You might learn about like how to do automation testing. However, how do you apply that with working within a team? It might be you and three other developers and a scrum master and a product owner or a product manager or a project manager, right? But all these terms that I just said, you probably only know what the software developer is or the software engineer is. You don't know what the scrum master, who the scrum master is, what they do. You don't know what a product owner does, and you're just like, so now they're in an interview, asking you these questions, and you're like, oh, what does a scrum master do? Oh, what does a product owner do? And you are totally lost, right? And it's not going to work out. And that is part of the problem, that like you are totally unprepared. So now when you are trying to get these like when your resume is like so bad and you don't know how to work with people, you don't know who these people are, and you expect to like just transition into the tech field and that people are just going to take a chance on you. And honestly, like with the state of the market, the state of the economy, companies can't afford to do that, right? And that's why you see so many layoffs going on now because companies like they can't afford it. So layoffs are happening and you're trying to transition into a field that you are totally unprepared for, right? So that like to me that is why so many people are having so much trouble transitioning. And when I look on LinkedIn, it's like people are so frustrated because I honestly believe not only have they been lied to about how quote unquote easy the tech industry is, it the tech industry is not easy, right? It's for me at least, it's totally rewarding, but it's not easy because um it's so dynamic. Like for me, for the developers and stuff, we're always learning something new. We're always pushing. We're always like gathering information. We're always trying different things out, right? So if you think you're just gonna come in here and say, "Oh, this I'm just gonna do my job. I'm just gonna do my job," like your job changes on a daily basis. Like honestly, your title it's doesn't mean that much, right? It's just okay. This is like the baseline of what you do, but there's so much more. And I think that a lot of people they get the wrong mindset when coming into the tech industry or trying to transition into the tech industry, and that's why they get held back so much. Your biggest problem is that you don't do the necessary research, right? You haven't done the necessary research in order to get into the field, and you just I think the biggest problem is like part of the problem is that you watch a YouTube video and they say, "Oh, you can do this, this, and this," or or you stumble across some website or whatever, or some content creator who is being paid to promote some type of boot camp, and you're like, oh, yeah, like you can transition just like this or just like that, and then you say, "Okay, now I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna pay $10,000 for some program," and then a year later you can't find anything and you are in debt, right? And I kind of feel bad, but somewhat, right? Because I do think that we fail to properly plan. We get infatuated by these shiny little objects, right? And we're like, "Oh wow, I can make this much money if I just transition. I'm making 40 to 45 thousand dollars now. Now I'm gonna go pay $10,000 so I can get a job where I can make like 80 to 90 thousand dollars. However, when that job doesn't come because we are not properly prepared, our resumes aren't good, we don't have the necessary experience, and all we have is this, and we don't have the knowledge, right? Because I see this, I see this, right? This is what I see, and this is like one of the things I'm trying to coach the people that I work with to be in a better spot, right? So I'll see people who are applying for jobs every single day, right? But then they struggle to do some of the basic tasks that they should know how to do in order to get the position. So I can see why you're not getting contacted for jobs, but you're frustrated because, but I can see that you're not ready yet, right? And I honestly believe that if everyone who's trying to transition would focus more on building on that experience, then they could have a better opportunity because then they can put valid things on their resume. They can put they can put valid things on their resume. They can actually learn the necessary tools that you need to work within the team. They can learn the processes and stuff like that. And the most important part is being able to articulate it not only on your resume but in an interview, right? Because okay, let's say you get your resume gets better and you're able to get to a interview, right? Now if you can't articulate the things that you've put on your resume, then you're out of luck. You got a little bit further, which is good, but you're out of luck. So I really think that it has to be a comprehensive approach. And if we spend a little bit more time focusing on gaining the necessary skills, whether that's like using the project management tools, whether that's working in the workflow of Scrum and Agile, or even Kanban, working on the tools that you learn, but in an actual environment that would be conducive to actual use of what you're learning and not just theoretical use or project use. Because honestly, we don't really care about the project that you've built, right? Because what value are they adding to anyone? We only care about things that are adding value to the public, or at least me, right? I can't speak for everyone, but I'm going to speak for myself. If I'm looking at a resume, and it's a bunch of projects, I'm like, oh, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, you got some code, great. But if it's not being used, right, then it doesn't mean as much to me because I want to see something in production, right? Whether it's something that like whether you teamed up with somebody who has a little startup by building an app or something like that, and then you're offering some QA or you're offering some software development to it, or you're offering some UX UI to it, whatever the case may be, right? But I want to see something that is available to be used. So I want to be able to go like this, right? If you have something that has been built and it's open to the public, I want to be able to navigate to it and see what's going on, use it, and be able to like look at the code and everything like that. But if it's some GitHub repo that you have that has a bunch of code, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time looking at everybody's code for no apparent reason, right? I want to see something that is useful to the public, and that it might not have a lot of traffic, it might not have any traffic, but the fact that you put it out there and you're willing to say, okay, this is me, this is my work, this is what I believe in, and now I'm like, okay, cool, let me go and check it out, right? And that is how I believe that whether you're building an application or you're testing the application that's being built, but you are jumping aboard and you're putting yourself out there saying, I'm gonna do it, right? I think that's where we have a big emphasis on experience versus just some projects that no one really cares about, right? And I hate to say it like that because it sounds a bit harsh, right? But I have to be honest with you, right? Those little projects that you have in your GitHub and your repo and stuff like that, no one's just gonna navigate to it just for the fun of it, right? Um, it's 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 really about you doing something that adds value into the world, you know? Um, whether you are finding some startup that you can be a part of to contribute to their code base or contribute to their testing, so you can ensure that there is adequate testing and they're just not going to be delivering a bunch of um, bugs to their customers, whatever the case may be. But as long as you are doing something, and that's how I think that you can actually build experience, right? Like you see me on some recent live streams, I jumped on to do some automation for the website that the my fellow content creator, Calculus Coder, uh, like built. He has a little startup. He has a startup that he has an application that's growing, is getting more and more users on a daily basis. And but then I said, okay, let me automate some of this. And looking at it, I'm like, okay, so these are going to be some enhancements that needs to be made. And not only does that continue to make me a better QA engineer, it also helps him to become a better software engineer. So I'm adding value to the application, but I'm also adding value to him to help him be a better software engineer. And that's like so now if I'm in an interview and I hear someone saying, "Oh yeah, I contributed to the startup where I'm doing this," and I see it on their resume, I have no problem with that, right? and and that's where I say like you can contribute to the betterment of an application that's being used by the public, as well as to the software developers who are building it, or you are a software like whatever it is that you're doing. Like there's so many, like if you're working on the UI UX for the application, whatever it is, I think that there is so many ways that you can build on transitioning, but you put yourself at a disservice if you're just like oh, I'm just going to finish this boot camp and I'm just going to apply. It's like the spray and the spray and pray methodology, right? Like I'm just gonna apply, and hopefully someone picks up on it. And then when nobody does, you're super frustrated. You might get an interview or two, and then they're like, "Oh no," like the recruiter never calls you back because you're just not ready, right? So I think a lot of times we prematurely go after things because we just want it, but we don't really put in the necessary work to get it. And I think that when we slow down and we say, okay, I am going to focus on doing this. And here's a recommendation that I'm going to end with this, right? Here is a recommendation that I would make for you to get the necessary skills that you would need, right? A lot of times, like people who go to these boot camps, they become like almost a cult like mentality because it's like they paid so much for it, so the people in there must be right. But there is a how would I say it, like they're a business, right? Their main concern is to make more money, get you through that cohort, and bring in the next cohort, right? And now, like everywhere you look, it's competition, competition, competition. So here's what I'm going to advise you. And I normally reserve this type of advice for my Patreon members, but um, here it is, right? You need to connect with, and you need to do research with people who are actually working in the field, who have no vested interest in you know you spending money with them, right? Seek out mentors who are in that field. Seek out someone like and reach out to them and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you give me some advice, right? What can I do? How can I build some experience, right? And then you have a better opportunity when like and to me that's the type of valid networking, right? A lot of people say network, network, network. I like to network with people who are where I want to be and not in the same spot that I currently am, right? Someone told me the other day, oh, but what if that person becomes XYZ at some point? Cool, that's great. I still know them and stuff like that, but I am on a mission to get somewhere, so I want to connect with the people who or have already been there, who can give me some insight, some advice, some guidance, right? And that's what I recommend that you would do is connect with those people who are where you want to be so you can get some insight, some advice and some guidance from them as well. And connect with them. They have no vested interest in pretty much in what you're doing, right? But a lot of people in the tech industry, they're always willing to share. So reach out and connect, So that's my advice to you, right? That is why, like, I know I kind of went to different spots, right? But those are all the things that I see that why it is so difficult for people to have a successful transition into the tech industry. The main, to summarize everything, you're not ready yet. You don't have the full total package yet to make a successful transition. So my advice to you: slow down, build on the skills, find a way to build experience. Right? I if you need to know, like if you need more information on how to build experience, feel free to reach out to me. Leave me a comment on the video, and we can have that conversation. Or you can call in on our live Q&A shows if you have been trying to transition for a while and you feel like you're not having much success. Feel free to call in on our live Q&A shows on Tuesday nights, and we can have a conversation about it. But one thing that I do with the people that I'm coaching is I coach them in a way that they can actually build valuable experience in the things that we're doing, so that and I touch on all the aspects that I spoke about today. I touch on those so that they can actually get that necessary experience, so that they can articulate it on their resumes as well as in interviews, so that and even asking the right questions in those interviews, so that they can crush it and they stand a much better chance than the people who are they're just clones of one another. It's like a bunch of clones applying for the same jobs, and no one ever sees their resume. I want to break that cycle, and I want to help you with that. So that's my message to you. Hopefully you receive this the right way. If not, then maybe this message was not for you. But I am wishing the best for you. And yeah, so that's about it, right? So if you found this video helpful, go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every single time that I go live or drop new content. I would love to interact with you, so definitely leave me a comment and I will make sure to get back to you. But on that note, this has been another episode of Candid Conversations. I am Tech Coach Ralph and I am Engineer to Win. And until next time, this is Tech Coach Ralph signing off.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.
Enigmatic Joker.